Who is the damn best player in this league?
He needs no ramp up.
It's like a video game with him.
See, is still the same I told you.
His form for shooting is ugly, but I mean, it's going in, so I can't complain.
But
Like, what improvement are you talking about, Jazzy?
I just didn't understand why they would let go of him.
He's like, dude, what are you doing?
But Rondo himself is not a saint here, okay?
What rubbish? What do you mean?
Hey everyone, welcome back to All About Sports, the podcast. I'm your host Mazhar and I have Aniket and Rishabh joining me today. We're going to be discussing the NBA once again. This time we're going to be deep diving into the race for the most valuable player award and also the race for the most improved player. Now, the reason we aren't going to be diving into the defensive player of the year and the rookie of the year awards is because, well, honestly,
He's just been plagued by
given that
injuries.
LaMelo was out injured, might just be an Anthony Edwards one-way street. James Wiseman's also out. Let's not forget that. And defensive player of the year, well, it's quite a shit show as it generally tends to be. It's going to be mostly going to be Rudy Gobert. You can't forget Utah do have the best NBA record, so it's hard to take away. LeBron doesn't want to choose him in his all-star team. That's a different issue altogether. Now, coming to the main race, let's start off with the most valuable player. Krishnan Gui, I'm going to go to you first, Gui, with this. I'm not asking you who deserves to win MVP first. I'm asking you who is the damn best player in this league currently?
Currently, okay, let's think about this. I'm going to analyze this a little, okay? LeBron's been out, okay? And irrespective, I don't think what the Lakers are doing, barring the initial games, I'm not sure that the performance would have warranted like the current best in this season. Giannis also can't really go with it. Steph gets hot every few games, and then the Warriors have this blowout loss magically against some trash team, which is and you know that's kind of the MVP differentiator, right? Like he does turn around a lot of games for them with. I mean, you come to expect it from him, so maybe that argument which people say about LeBron, right? Like the expectation is too high for him. Maybe that kind of applies to Steph also. But um, a lot of love being given to Embiid. Again, not my favorite guy. Like, splendid, splendid start, and then like he carried forward that form also, but not my favorite. But the Joker is my absolute favorite in terms of giving a highlight reel every game and a good performance. So the showing is always pretty high in terms of what he does. Plus, I just love to watch him. So the most biased pick for the best player, but I give uh, Steph a very good shout for this one. Like I logically for me it's Steph because barring 1 in 5 games where he doesn't do well and the Warriors lose, it's been pretty consistent from him, more or less. And that's what I mean. Without Clay, with KD gone, none of the Warriors hype. He's pulling them along, and it's got to be Steph for me right now.
Yeah, so I was just going to come to you with that, Krishnan. Who's your best player first? We'll dive into who's your MVP, but I think this is an important question, and I'll get to that once you answer. And I think you guys know where I'm going with this.
No, it's
So
a,
that's why.
it's a great question. And like Gui said, I think if we're talking about the best player of the season so far, irrespective of MVP, I think it's hard to put LeBron in that bracket. I think he's the best player in the league, but really that really gets defined once we get into the playoffs. I wouldn't say in the regular season he's been the best player so far. I'm actually gonna go with Kevin Durant, and here's why. He's been injured. He's been out for a lot of games. Brooklyn Nets essentially seem like they can't have all three of their big stars playing simultaneously very often. But when he plays, I just don't understand how injuries don't seem to make a difference in his game. He comes back I think it was his second game back against the Pacers, scores 42 points. He needs no ramp up. It is unbelievable how quickly he can get back into it. So for me, it's KD. He's just unbelievable on the offensive end. His defense is on and off. It's a little inconsistent. But the way and the frequency and the ease with which that man can score to me is incomparable in the league. Incomparable.
You know,
Uh,
I sorry to cut you off, Krishnan, but I'd like to take this opportunity to like apologize to this very famous journalist who I trashed in a personal conversation, saying because he said this about KD when he said that this man's not relying on his athletic ability. He's a straight up shooter also. So when he's going to be back from an Achilles injury, he's going to be the same. And I was like, what rubbish? What do you mean? Like you can't be the same after an Achilles snap like that. And you know, Krishnan said it. Man just rolls up, scores 40, goes home. Get that. That's why like it made no sense to me when it was said. Like he's going to return as the same. It doesn't happen. Doesn't work that way. But KD seems to prove otherwise. You can apparently keep that kind of scoring form even after an Achilles injury, which is absurd.
Absolutely. And like you said, injuries will mean he will not be the MVP for sure this season. He just hasn't played enough games, and I think that's totally fair.
I just wanted to see if you guys mentioned a couple of names and you didn't. And that's why I asked the question. Luka Doncic was left out of this conversation. I'm talking about best player in the NBA right now. And him not getting a mention is pretty shocking. Chris Paul, man. Chris Paul. You left out two names. And let's look at I'm talking about that's why I'm saying best player this season, not from an MVP point of view, just what they bring to any team, right? You look at what Chris Paul has brought to all the teams he's been with in the past. Clippers, the Rockets, now we're seeing it with Phoenix as well. He literally takes that team up, not one notch, not two notches, maybe 3 or 4 notches. That's how good Chris Paul is. Phoenix sit with the second best record in the West. We're talking about the West here. And that's the sort of difference he's made. Phoenix didn't make the playoffs last year. So that's exactly why I wanted to just see if you guys mentioned, I'm not saying Chris Paul is the best player in the league. When you have Giannis and KD, you probably can't. I still can say that you can be audacious enough to say that Luka Doncic is probably the best player in the league. I still personally would go with Giannis. I think he's a better. What's scary about Giannis is he keeps getting better. I think like KD also, I don't think KD is getting better. I think KD is the same, exactly. Like we said, KD is what he is. You'll get the constant scoring. But Giannis, my God, man, he's a monster. He's a machine. Day in, day out, he's producing the same results, the same way. It's like a video game with him. Him and Steph are literally, it's a fucking video game, man. So, just Giannis for me, man. Giannis is the best player. Now, Krishnan, first your pick for MVP, and maybe 2 or 3 reasons why. And then followed by that, Gui, you can go for it as well.
Yeah, you know what? I have to go with, the name that Gui mentioned. I think he's my first pick for MVP, which is Nikola Jokic. I think a big reason for that is Nikola Jokic has taken up a lot of responsibility. We know he's the best player on that Denver team. It's a Denver team that we've talked about, has room to really grow to becoming a championship side. They're on that route. We're never actually sure if we're going to get there. They've gotten an injury with Jamal Murray now. It's going to be an issue. But Joker has been the consistent feature of this team through the entire season. And that's the big thing we've harped on about Denver, right? Every single season, the same thing we harp on is they have to be consistent. And you have to give Nikola Jokic credit for that. This season, he has been consistent through the year. He is averaging 26.2 points per game, 10.9 rebounds per game, 8.6 assists, and 1.4 steals per game. So he has been phenomenal statistically. He has played pretty much the entire season, compared to the other big man who's also in this conversation. And like Gui said, he's just a complete highlight reel, right? I mean, a lot of people talk about him as maybe being the best passing center of all time. He is in that conversation because he is such a beautiful passer from the elbow. He just holds the ball and he just finds a way to distribute it to all his teammates. Really special player. And I think, Maz, we talked a little bit about how we've spoken before about why Russell Westbrook won that MVP a few years back, right? It's because he was, the triple double king. He was the triple double god. That played into his story of why he becomes MVP. That to me is the story, sort of, for me. Again, it's a storied reason of why Nikola Jokic also deserves the MVP. Is we haven't seen a player pass, a big guy play the kind of way he plays. He's not playing like a dominant big man. He's playing as a passer from the elbow, and that's really where he proves his value to the Denver Nuggets. So that's kind of why I think he's a unique player. He's very different from what we've typically seen from men of his size. So that is the additional reason why I think he deserves to be an MVP. And at the end of the day, statistically, he's killing it too, right? And he's leading this team to, I believe, third in the West, which is pretty impressive as well. So those are my reasons, Gui. I know this was your dude, so maybe I stole your answer, but I'd love to hear what you think.
No, it's perfectly fine because I'm not changing my answer for just because you said it, right? So he's his nickname fits so perfectly. He's like a literal joker card in that team. Like, what do you need me to do? Like, you need me to come in clutch? Okay. You need me to pass some in the most absurd way for someone my size. It's not even for someone his size. If you would be surprised if you saw someone Steve Nash's size do it. You would be surprised if you saw like white chocolate do it. But that's how it is. Like that is a part of his game, which is so um, something which we've not seen. I can't remember someone his size just passed the way so casual, and he has that Eastern European deadpan face, like doesn't really care about what he's doing on the court. He's like, all right, this is so casual for me. Let me just pass here. Let me just pass there, and let me, score. What was that game winning? Was it a game winning 3-pointer? That shot, very absorbed contact and this weirdly looping shot. I don't remember if it was a 2 or a 3, and if it was game winning also or not. But that's just the kind of things like it doesn't surprise you anymore.
Gui is doing his thing again. Gui is doing his thing again.
I was going to say the one thing that he probably doesn't deserve MVP for is his form. He has ugly form. His form for shooting is ugly, but I mean, it's going in, so I can't complain.
But one thing, Krishna, a big man, it doesn't matter. I've realized that form doesn't matter. As long as it goes in, it's fine. We've seen Dwight changes free throw shooting form so many times, but no one cares because as long as it goes in, it's fine. Whatever works, works. So I wouldn't shit on his form for sure. And that, but sorry, Gui, get back to it.
No, it's too fresh for me. Like, even though he's been around for a while, he's been doing the same thing. It's just so refreshing to watch. Like, we come down at this point in sports, like where everyone has a designated role. Like, you do this and then you specialize and then you make it your thing, right? What do you tell him? Like, do you tell him to stop one thing and not do, like, okay, you keep doing this? No, he's gonna do what he feels like, and it's just so enjoyable to watch. And that's where, and again, let's be honest, he has the stats to back it this time as well. If he carries on, good for him. I'd love to see him win an MVP.
So I'm gonna push back on you guys, honestly here. Not because of anything. I love Jokic. He's just entertaining. He wears his heart on his sleeve. He does have a temper, surprisingly. We've seen it more than enough.
I kind of, he's the only guy I know. He's probably leading the league in fouls to talk to the referee. He keeps making these fouls and he's like, ref. And the dude who's like on the other team is like, dude, what are you doing?
Like, he's just so many incidents, and I'm like, how is this guy not getting ejected? If Embiid did the exact same thing, Embiid's out right away. And we're talking about the two guys who are leading the MVP race here. But I according to me, the only reason I would push back on both of them winning MVP is because no defense. Yeah, for me that matters a lot. I don't see enough defense from them. I know, Krishna, you're going to mention the steals, but that's just because of, I think Jokic's game sense is so good that he just finds his place that, like, he manages to cut off passes quite often than not. But I still don't see them doing enough for me as two-way players, and that's because Giannis is still in the conversation for MVP. That is the only reason I am saying that. So Giannis at least last when we saw, he was ranked third in the MVP race. Giannis is definitely the best two-way player on this list. And that is my only reason why I would say Giannis still deserves to win the MVP award. I'm not saying he's okay, probably not done enough to retain it, which is what it would come to, because the Bucks, well, their record speaks for itself this season. And last season they had the best record. But then I would still go, and I would like to probably go with a Chris Paul. Because we're talking about a team that missed the playoffs last year, has the second best record currently in the West. It's absurd to think about or look beyond that. I would make a case for Jokic probably. So for me, it would be Chris Paul, then Jokic, and then Steph. I'm discounting Embiid here altogether because I just haven't seen enough in the recent matches. Of course, the injury has also hampered him. Let's not forget that. But Philly has just been far too inconsistent, and he has an extremely important and responsible role in that. So you need consistency, and only you can bring that consistency. Unless you are Steph Curry and your team is so bad. And Philly don't have a bad team. Let's face it, they don't.
So I want to push back a little bit on that, right? Because I totally admit the jump Phoenix has taken is insane. And frankly, I mean, they're only 0.5 games behind one. Phoenix is kind of on the way up. So potentially they can overtake Utah as well. But I want to push back a little bit on this and make the same argument for Philadelphia. You know, Philadelphia, I think, have taken a big step up this year in the regular season. What happens in the playoffs is a different question. But they've taken a huge step up. I mean, they were, without Joel Embiid's injury, they were leading the East. They're still second in the East by 0.5 games behind the Nets. They've taken, to me, a huge step up from the prior season, and I'd say largely on the back of Joel Embiid's performance at the start of the season. And the only reason they've dropped off is because of him being out. And I will also say, no, I don't think Joel Embiid. I do think, I agree with you, the best two-way player on this list is Giannis Antetokounmpo, no question about it. But I will say, I wouldn't defend Jokic as being that good a defensive player. I can completely agree to that. I would defend Joel Embiid a bit more. I think he has been a lot more, because at the end of the day, he has all the toolkit to be a great defensive player. And I think this year he's been engaged. Previous seasons, not so much. This year, he's been engaged and focused on the defensive end. So I will stand up a little bit for Joel. He's still number 2 to me, but I would stand up a bit more for him, both in terms of how he's improved Philadelphia's performance, and I think his defense has also improved a bit, pretty significantly, I'd say, this year from prior years.
I think there are a lot of reasons why I'm gonna agree that there is a bit of bias over here, because I don't like his on-court antics in general. So there could be that bias to it. No, it's just the flailing, the trying to like get people agitated and get them ejected, and eventually himself gets ejected. So it's something that you don't want to get into. You don't want that controversy on your team, and especially you don't want your MVP to be like that. You don't want that man to represent the league at the end of the day.
But
Is
you're
what
okay
my
with
point
Chris Paul.
is.
You're okay with Chris Paul, like the one of the
Chris Paul's
like,
had incidents. Chris Paul has had incidents. I'm not going to deny that, and I've been the first one to shit on him. But he's still the NBA Player Association's head, chief, or whatever the term is. But
even more surprising, he threw hands at Rondo. Oh, I mean,
but Rondo himself is not a saint here, okay? If you told me he's going at it against Sachin Tendulkar or something, it's different. It's fucking Rajon Rondo, who's had incidents himself.
They've had history. They've had US team
and
history.
Not only
they
that,
got some beef, yeah.
Exactly. They had a beef before. No, forget that beef. Rondo fought with someone who no one imagined anyone would fight with, right? During his time with Boston. So, I mean, he broke up the big three. He was the reason why that big three broke up. Otherwise, it would have been a different Boston altogether as well. So that's why I'm just trying to say that, like, I think that's the only reason I am discounting Joel Embiid. But you yourself called Chris Paul point guard, man.
Hey, 1 second. I said there is a reason he's called point guard. I didn't say I'm very agreeable towards that. Okay. Also, I'm really glad that he didn't like bring that petty nature. I mean, somehow has been very contained in this season. Although he's
Because
had
they're
like
winning. Because they're winning. Let's watch the playoffs. I think it'll be fun. We'll know about that. Like, let's
I mean,
say if he plays if they play the Clippers at some point,
oh,
Rondo and this guy going at it again will be fun for sure.
that
So
so that's so Chris Paul for me is just he's one of those guys. Like I know he's gonna get into a fight. Like the same way you think about Embiid on court antics and stuff,
I,
it's gonna happen with Chris Paul. It's a given. Like I know at some point in the season he's going to have like
but that's the
one
thing,
odd
right?
thing which is going to bother me so much.
But it's
Embiid,
once
okay,
a
Embiid does it
season.
much more often. I get you.
I will,
Embiid does it
yeah.
every other game. Embiid does it every other game.
Didn't he talk a ref into giving someone a tech?
I mean, he's
All the
constantly
time,
doing
dude.
this nonsense. So I
All the
definitely
time,
believe
dude.
Jojo does it a little more than Chris Paul. I do have to say it's probably a little more than Chris Paul.
But anyway, guys, as expected, this was quite hotly debated, but we controlled our emotions a bit. Let's move on to according to me, the most fun race that is there this year, the most improved player of the year award. We know Julius Randle is the overwhelming favorite to win it. But firstly, obviously, we'll have a talk around who do we think deserves it. And then also, let's discuss some of the other guys who are on that list and um, who has really impressed you from these names, maybe a couple of names or so. Go for it. So, Gui, you can open this up.
I mean, that mention like when I read that someone picked Jaylen Brown over Julius Randle as their like, preferred pick for most improved, I was a little miffed. I'll be honest. What? Julius Randle got so much stake throughout. Like he continues to get a lot of stake even now. Like if he shows some like slight spark or glimmer of his old self, or everything like that, see, he's still the same. I told you. He hasn't improved much because he still does these things. Of course, come on, it's a sport. You're going to have like some bad moments, but let's be honest, Julius Randle we was on the receiving end of too much hate, and that's why I think. I mean, even though there is Jaylen Brown and another very like contentious one, which I think which I'm reading is Michael Porter Jr. What most improved?
Bro,
What is
someone said he's like KD. Someone said he's the next KD. He's a younger
sure,
version of KD.
sure. Yes. मेरे गली में खेलता है वो side में the next Messi. What are you saying? Same logic, same rationale. I mean, it makes no sense to me. Like, what improvement are you talking about? Is he improved that much? And he wasn't even on the receiving end of so much hate. Like, so I'll be very honest. I'm a very like biased person in terms of like what sentiment is being thrown towards people, right? So, if Julius Randle was on the end of a lot of garbage, for that matter, I don't think MPJ got a lot of it, but not. It was more like analyst driven. He needs to do more. He needs to do more things. He needs to, kind of elevate his game slightly, over here, over there. But Julius Randle was just being shit on, and now he's a very different player. Let's be honest. The number of mistakes, the number of like kind of brain fade moments which you talk about don't occur as often. So he is definitely my pick, but there are some other good names also. I'm going to let Krishnan pick on one or two of those guys.
No, thanks, Guimas. I have to completely agree with both of you all said. I think this is Julius Randle's award to lose. He's been phenomenal. The fact that he's brought the Knicks back into the playoffs, and they're in the playoffs. They're not even going to be in the play-in tournament. They'll be for sure in the playoffs. Deserves a hell of a lot of credit. The one thing that's interesting about this award is how much of it is just guys moving to worse teams where they become the superstar, right? Like a lot of the story is, I mean, you look at the people on this list, just looking at like Vegas's odds. Jeremy Grant moved from Denver to Detroit. Detroit is a crap team. Christian Wood is on a Houston team that looks terrible. Zach LaVine's in Chicago. Chris Boucher is in Toronto who are struggling this season, and Colin Sexton's in Cleveland. So many of these players are just on terrible teams where they look incredible on. I will talk about one of the dudes who's on a terrible team doing incredibly, which is Zach LaVine. When Zach LaVine left Minnesota, the reason he left is because they put all their eggs into the Karl Anthony Towns and Andrew Wiggins bucket and said, we're going to get guys around them. Looking at how things have shaped out, I would say Zach LaVine is definitely better than Andrew Wiggins. And he's getting a hell of a lot closer to Karl Anthony Towns than we once thought it would be feasible, given Karl Anthony Towns was a first pick in the draft. What Zach LaVine is doing in Chicago, to me, is still special, only because I should admit I do live in Chicago, so I have a little bit of a bias. But he is scoring at a ridiculous clip, for one. And the second thing is, again, we've talked about how crap this Bulls team is. It's a nonsense team that is competing for potentially being in the play-ins against a Washington team that has both Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal. This season, he is averaging, I'm just trying to see his points per game. He is averaging 27.5 points per game. That is a really impressive number. So that's the only person I want to shout out a little bit is Zach LaVine. I think he's carried the Chicago team that's frankly nonsense, is going nowhere. And I really think like he's not going to be if he goes to a team that's, a 1, 2, 3 in East or West, he's not going to be the number one player. But he could be a really solid third or fourth scorer. If you're looking for a pure out-and-out scorer or even a sixth man to be just a pure out-and-out scorer, he's a great guy to look at. And
Los Angeles, do you hear that? Los Angeles, do you hear that?
So I think he's someone who deserves to me a little bit of a shout out. But again, this is Julius Randle's award to lose. He's been unbelievable this season, Maz. I know you've been a big fan of him even from his LA days. So I don't know who else you were interested in.
My main man, Julius. Oh, I miss him. I really do. And I was heartbroken when he left LA. Genuinely, I just didn't understand why they would let go of him. His talent was there to be seen. Kobe loved him as well. He had a great rapport, I thought, with all the players. Yes, he made some bad decisions, but the talent was in abundance. You could see it. I would definitely argue that he was the one guy they made a mistake. I wouldn't even go and say they made a mistake with letting go of Ingram as much as they did with Randle. He's really, I mean, New York had nothing to celebrate about. This guy's come in and he's torn the league apart in his own way. Brought back a bit of the classical big man. So I would say in terms of quickness and power, like not too many centers have, people playing that number 5 or number 4 role have. So I think he just brought that to the fore. And like you said, man, genuinely, Zach LaVine, for me, he's been fantastic. These last 3 seasons, he's been phenomenal. I was just worried, or rather more concerned, whether he would be able to keep it up, and he's just getting better and better. And 27.5 points per game is no joke, no matter which team you are on, man. It is ridiculous. I think his all-star experience has also helped him. So definitely with you on those 2 picks. But since Julius it's already finished. It's done. Julius has most improved player of the year in the bag. I would also like to mention that Jokic is also in this race though. So I mean, if it's kind of like sad if he doesn't win MVP and then loses most improved player, because you think that ideally it should be the guy who's in the MVP race winning it, right? But it's not gonna probably turn out like that.
So with that, guys, super quick fire. Just looking at this year's stats, I'm gonna ask you some of the performances from this year. Just based on this year's stats, I'm gonna ask you some question on like stats leaders basically. So points per game, who are 1 and 2 in leading points per game? I'll give you a hint on the conference for each. One is on the East, one is on the West. Gui.
Oh, what is this hint? Like amazing hint. I thought there were more conferences. Oh, I would have been guessing it.
As in not both on one.
Stats is not my place, yeah. But okay, I'm just gonna say Steph.
Okay, and
KD.
Okay, Maz.
I know this. Bradley Beal.
Okay.
And Steph. Bradley Beal is 31.3 points per game and Steph is 31.2.
So it might have just changed from yesterday, honestly, but it is Steph and Bradley Beal. Steph currently with 31.3 and Bradley with 31. But
Okay.
pretty
May have dropped
pretty
in this
damn
last
close.
game.
Pretty
Yeah.
damn
May have
close.
dropped in today's games. Yeah.
Now here's a surprising one. Who is currently leading in rebounds per game? It's a player on the East. Maz knows this already.
You're asking me stats of the current season. There's no way I won't know the leaders at least.
Give me a hint. Give me a better hint than the East. Come on.
He's one of your. He plays for a team that you said one of your favorite players plays on. Who's a pretty short guy. He's a point guard. Who's one of your favorite players.
Oh, so talking about Trey Young. Hmm. Hey,
Yeah. I mean, Krishnan gave you a great hint. So
shit.
Bro, who's the center on that team? Used to play for Houston. He's Swiss. I'm doing this because
he gave you the name.
yeah, because Mother
He
knows it.
practically
So
gave you the
literally-
guy.
He's Swiss. He used to play for
practically gave you the
Houston.
guy.
I can't, dude. This is my brain fade moment. Sorry,
Yeah,
Julius.
yeah.
Randle. Go for it,
No.
Mother.
Clint
Buzz.
Capella, man. Clint Capella.
I knew once you
Dude,
told him
it's monster, right? Like what? It's 14 and a half rebounds per game?
14 and a half.
Wow,
Insane.
man. Insane. The guy is a monster on the defensive end, for sure.
So, Muzz, you now have given away that you know who the leaders are. So, I'm going to make it a little tougher on you. So, 3-pointers made this season. The leader is Steph Curry. Okay? Who's second? And I'll give you the only hint I'm going to give you. It's in the West. And this is total. This is total 3-pointers made in the season.
Okay. Gui, you wanna go? Or you
You
want
go.
me to go?
I'll give you all a second hint. It's a team
No.
that
I think I got it. I'm pretty certain I know this one also.
You want to go
I'm
first, Buzz? Oh, you go, Gui.
Gui,
I-
go for it.
Just I don't think it is him, but is it Booker?
Okay, Booker, Muzz?
It's Dame time. It's Dame
God.
time. It's gotta be Dame time. Come
It's
on.
actually not. Dame time is third, mostly probably I'm sure because of his injuries. Buddy Hield is second. Interestingly.
Ooh, he just keeps jacking them shots up. Man.
Yeah, dude. Okay, last question, and
What's
then we
his percentage though? Krishnan,
oh,
I think-
percent. I'm not sure. Percent. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
cool.
But yeah.
Cool. Last question.
Last question of the game, guys. Who is the leading guy for 3-point percent? So shots made from 3-point line. So
How
leading
many
3-point
shots?
percentage.
Okay.
I think there's a minimum. I don't know what the minimum is, but it's definitely a dude who is a 3-point shooter, and it's in the East.
Oh, okay. Okay. I fine.
James? I mean the beard?
James Harden. Okay, Muzz.
Joe Harris.
Bang on.
He-
Joe Harris.
He
40?
shot less. That's why.
48.3
Yeah.
on the season.
I don't
Anyway.
think Harden. I was just banking on the fact that he hasn't played enough, so hopefully he made like most of his shots.
Guys, if you can just rewind on your most improved player and your MVP picks for this season. So Gui,
Most improved, Julius Randle, MVP. Fingers crossed it goes to the Joker.
and Krishnan.
I hate to be a copycat, but exact same, man. Nikola Jokic MVP and most improved Julius Randle.
And not crossing
So,
your fingers. What the hell?
sorry.
So I mean, the MVP ladder on NBA.com shows the Joker leading. So I don't think we really have a choice but to not go with the Joker. And well, the odds speak for themselves for Randall. So it's a unanimous decision. One of the few occasions when all of our hosts are on the same boat. So we're going with Jokic to win MVP and Julius Randle to win the most improved player of the year. And there you have it. That's all about sports, the podcast. Tune in next week for another new episode. Stay tuned for a lot more exciting content coming your way. We have some really terrific guests up and coming. So don't miss it. Just hit the bell button on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. We're on 26 audio platforms as well. So you can just listen to us on pretty much any platform you can think of. And stay tuned. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.